Hi, we're here for another lovely interview with Claire Baker. Would you like to introduce yourself a little bit, Claire, and tell us a little bit about your practice?
Yeah, sure. Hi, I'm a textile designer, artist slash maker. Um, I can be called many things, so it's very difficult to define my practice because it's a bit of a mishmash. But I usually prefer to call myself a creative practitioner. But I generally do use kind of textile techniques. I work with fabric and paper, print and embroidery as well. So it's quite diverse.
Fantastic. And how and when did you first get involved with the arts?
Well, I went back to school as a mature student to study A-level actually, which then led to me doing a degree in textiles and surface design. And it was during that period really that I discovered textiles. I didn't really know what it involved at the time, and I was only studying art and design as a hobby. I had 3 young children under the age of 5 at the time or something, and it was my time. But it's changed my life actually. It was like boom, this is it. This is kind of me. This is what I want to do. And when I went to study my degree, I had no intention of it becoming a career. It was just I fell in love with it, and I'm still in love with it.
Oh.
I've been really lucky.
What would you say has influenced you or inspires your work?
Um, it's a passion for textiles, really, but most of my projects, looking back, seem to be about loss in some way, shape, or form. And I've recently been told that I'm an empath. So I don't know if that's got anything to do with it, but I started making commercial work in surface design, and then kind of wanted my work to mean something more. It used to be my aim for my work to just look gorgeous. If somebody said that's gorgeous, that was me. I was happy. But it became a little bit deeper, and the more research I did, I discovered kind of lots of things that excited me or interested me to the point where I wanted to make work about it. And that's led to currently where I'm a doctoral researcher at Northumbria as well. I'm doing a PhD by practice, which is great because I got funding from the HRC, which means basically I'm getting paid to do what I love to do, and that is work with the people who live in the Chernobyl exclusion zone, which I visited for the first time 5 years ago, and that's kind of took over everything. And I've done many kind of mini projects within that theme, but for the last couple of years I've been working with the self-settlers who still live in the zone, because our shared interest is embroidery, and they're a dying community, and soon them and all this textile heritage and their legacy will be gone forever. So I feel it's kind of really important that I'm doing as much as I can while I can. So yeah, I'm completely caught up with that, captivated by it. It's amazing.
That's amazing. Totally. I saw your piece in the exhibition that was at Hartlepool Art Gallery as well, following your trip to Chernobyl. It was beautiful. I loved it.
Thank you.
Oh, so do you work a lot by yourself, or do you do collaborations? Or does it depend what projects you're working on?
I do work a lot by myself, and obviously I'm working at home at the moment, but I think that stems from when I was working doing designs for fashion fabrics commercially. I've lost what I was going to say now, but anyway, yeah. When my work became more personal, I didn't really want to share it, and I imagined that collaborating was doing what someone else wanted to do. But in the past couple of years, I set up the 2686 collective after a group visit to Chernobyl with some other creatives, and we did collective exhibitions, etc., which really made me see that it wasn't like that at all. And it was amazing, because just bouncing off other people gives you so much more energy and ideas. And I've worked a lot with Nicola Golightly from Navigator North. She's kind of my main collaborator, and we've worked together a number of times, and I absolutely adore that, because it's not just a break from being immersed alone, but it's kind of sharing, and I think that's a really positive thing to do.
Yeah, I think it's like as well, like looking at the work that was done through that collaboration, everybody's experience was so different, and their artistic response to it was so different. It was amazing.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that was the point. We went to Chernobyl together as a group. Everybody found their own interest, because there's so much kind of, I don't want to call it treasure, but a lot of inspiration, because there's so many aspects to the whole event and to that place, that everybody found something different. And I think it gave a really broad idea of what it's actually like there now, but also the dangers of nuclear energy, etc., without being too political.
Mm-hmm. So what would you say the benefits to the arts are, kind of generally, and for yourself more personally?
Well, personally, I think without my practice and without kind of being involved in other exhibitions, just visiting exhibitions, for example, I think I would just shrivel and die, to be honest. I mean, I've taught for a lot of years, but I've always continued my own creative practice. And it seems, well, it's unimaginable to think that I might not ever have that. In general, I think it's the most important thing. It affects everybody's daily life, and it's so important, and people often don't realise how important it is, and how the arts and all around us, and what would it be like with no images, with no photography, with no film, with no music, with no live performance. It's scary, really.
That links nicely into the final question, which is looking at if and how lockdowns had an impact on your practice.
Well, first time round in March, I went to pieces, to be completely honest. Even though I'm used to working alone at home quite often, that forced nature of it, it just kind of, I stopped working completely. I just couldn't do anything. I was supposed to be writing, and I think, well, I don't know, it might have been that I didn't really want to do that writing, so I didn't do anything. But I had a massive lack of motivation. So eventually, after some weeks, I started making creative work, and that's what got me through. What I was worried about was not being able to go and do my field work that was planned over the summer in Chernobyl with the babushkas that I work with, and there was some horrific forest fires over there at the time, and I was just devastated, and I was so worried about these old women who were really isolated, and the fact that I'd promised them I was going and I couldn't get in touch with them. So what I did was I made work for them. So I was making kind of religious icons of the South Settlers, which developed from some earlier work I'd done, but this was to try and get this work to them. So spiritually, it made me feel connected to them. And eventually I've managed to get some parcels to them, because there's many barriers in the way of that. But I've had word back as well, and it's made it mean so much, that this relationship that I have with these women, which is so, and it kind of changed my focus, actually. And I thought, my work is about this relationship that I have with them. It's not about the work, really, or having an exhibition, or it's not about that textile heritage as much as it is about this bond that we've built up over time, and that I really don't want to lose that. So it's difficult, but there has been positives.
Yeah, that's amazing. That's really powerful, actually. Thank you for sharing that. It's been really lovely speaking to you, and we'll be in touch. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much. I've enjoyed it. Bye.
Bye.